Why is it so dark in this room? It's really dark. So, I just want to share my screen. I'm going to get real with all of you in the future meetings. Here's what I'm going to do. I have spoken about Jessup before, and I've talked about it, and so you know what I'm going to do? I need to get with the program here, and I need to get some work done. However, I'm recording this video now, and actually I'm going to do all of this whilst this video is going, which is something different that I haven't done before. Well, I think I have a couple times before, but anyway, this is called killing two birds with one stone, and I plan to do that, and I plan to find ways of getting around that because I want to be productive. I have loads of stuff to do, and I need to be productive. And I'm aware that I need to be productive. I feel the Saturn pull to be productive. Remember, Saturn's the authoritarian. Well, I hate to say that, but he represents authority. He represents this higher force that's telling you, okay, you need to do this. Why don't you get to work and get something done? It's as simple as that. Now, I'm going to show you stuff, and I'm going to play videos. The next time, maybe not the next time, but sometime next week I will be recording the class and I will be playing it so that you could just hear and so that I could have a file to keep on hold that I will never get rid of in my whole entire life. Over the class, over my experience in it. I won't do that for the other classes, I will do it for this one. So that maybe if I want to explain something or talk about something, I can play it for you additionally so that you can hear that, so that I don't have to reiterate and do all that stuff, that you can hear it and get what I'm saying in that way, and then I can break it down and be more in that moment and feel those feelings again and express it stronger. So I plan to do that where I'm going to do that, but this is one example, and one way that I can do that is by showing you this kind of idea of a halfway house. When you get out of jail, there is you probably go to like something called a halfway house. I want to call it I want to call his teaching style halfway between high school and college. Not one or the other, but somewhere in between. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing this, not the essay. Not the essay, because that's a big thing. That's the important thing. That's the thing that is far more worth doing, far more important. And I'll be spending a lot of my weekend doing that. It's my sort of own creation, own thing. But this is to prove to you these are the kind of things that this person does. And I'm not saying that they're bad or they're demanding or whatever, but this is an example of what I am not doing to you all now. So how I was during COVID, I still have not sent you those videos yet. I will. There'll be a ton of links. I'll send an email of all those videos once I get them all uploaded. I will send them to you. Maybe you can just see how I was. Maybe you can see what I assigned. I gave a lot of activities. I had a lot of things going on. And I made it so that you had to do this and you had to do this, and you had to read this article, watch this video, do this assignment. And they were little assignments. They weren't too huge assignments. Now, I do want to bring in an express point right here. So, no. I can't do what I just did. I can't keep, feeding what I'm trying to not give my life support to, as Pam Gregory talks about. I felt that sensation, but I'm not going to get up because I know it's fine. So I'm not going to do that. So I do want to share I've never done this before. I've never shared more than one. Hopefully I'm sharing the right screen with you. So I do want you to get a glimpse at, oh my gosh. So I'm just going to stop sharing that for a moment. So, before I do what I need to do during this video, and that goes for any other homework that he would assign. You're a professor, and homework just seems like an old, kind of dated high school, elementary school, grade school term to use. I will tell you one thing about, the other person who I'm going to be bringing on, if you will. Professor McGarry. I don't remember her ever doing little activities and assigning homework, ever. And referring to the work as homework. It was just work. And she was definitely a professor, and definitely in business in that own way, and it was a no nonsense class, and it was certainly a college level class. So, these were the classes that I had last semester. I do want to reflect back upon, this particular one, which was, it was kind of a beast. So I do want to open it. And as you can see, I'm not going to read through that. But so I click on, my goodness, if I click on this particular image. So this is who I had last semester as in the English department, as you can see, with all, of her customs and, all this kind of things. And unfortunately, I can't find an image of who I have this semester because it doesn't show an image, but you've seen that Instagram account before. Actually, let me just bring that up again, since I can. So I'm going to bring up the account, and so you can get a glimpse at both images. So as you can see, both images are very different. They're very different, both of them. Let me just X out of this. So, yeah, that was that. That was that. But so I'm going to come back to what I need to come back to, which is this. This is let me just show you the real life, out there embodiment of what I assign to you and the kinds of things I assign to you. And I've known a couple teachers over the years who have done this, where they've assigned, little activities, including free writes, those kind of things. This is basically how it's kind of similar to my page. It's kind of similar to what I used to do, where I used to, have you read through something, answer questions, or I used to have you answer questions or think about things, or, do all those kind of things, and, get personal, get, deeper, and, read an article or, um, do these kind of things. I used to do that. I don't do that now because I have changed my philosophy when it comes to teaching. I don't agree with having you do so much work. That should be primarily for your kind look classes because that's why you're taking them. It really seems unfair why you should have to do stuff because I assigned it to you and you didn't choose to, you didn't choose that class. I'm just assigning so much work on top of what you already done. And that kind of dictatorial element of me, that kind of forcing you, and the kind of power that I had, where I was forcing you to do this, and I was acting like a, you know, high school teacher that you didn't sign up for, that you didn't register for, like you did your Kindle classes. And I deeply apologize for that. I deeply apologize for the many meetings that I had where I assigned this, I had a big list, and you had to do this and that and complete this task and that task when you could have focused more of your, energy and attention into kind of like, and that, you know, been, had been your, focus when it comes to um, academics, and classes and, assignments and lectures and notes and learning, structured learning in that type of way, by somebody else. If you have thought of your Kindle classes in the past, for those of you who were at my Amends in 2021 especially, if you thought of the Kindle classes as an escape and as a means of, something that you do want to do, and that's what you value, and that's what you want to invest your time and energy into, not what I assign. I totally get that. I really understand that now. And I do feel sorry for how I was. I I feel sorry for giving you so much work and having this concert be at a certain date and, overwhelming you and, putting so much responsibility and burdens on your shoulder. I truly apologize. That is not how I want to be in the future. That is not how I want to be because that's not what I believe in. I do not believe in assigning huge amounts of homework, particularly if it's small stuff just to keep you busy and just to give you something to do. I don't agree with that. And the reason behind that philosophy, why, another sort of flaw that I can see with this person is he is in resemblance to a version of myself that I was in the past, that I don't want to be, that I reject and regret presenting myself as. I am open to so many people. You have all this stuff I've already spoken about, and to put the pimple on top of the boil, you are a mirror that is reflecting back who I was and that I don't want to be anymore. Sort of a karmic, thing. Um, and, these little activities, I mean, this looks very similar to what I had set up, except I put more stuff, even more, well, I don't know what I did. I can't remember. But it's this sort of philosophy of assigning so much and so much work, that isn't like an official important sounding thing. Like all the work that I had to do for, in intro to lit, I never questioned the importance of that. And I never felt like the instructor was a negative resemblance toward myself. I didn't feel that way. If I did it, it would have occurred to me. But I do want to put those comparisons out there. This is a mirror back to me of my theoretical mind, my ideal and mind that was in a land of its own, believing that you could do it and you could be authentic about it, and it could be easy and you could get it done, and you could gain a lot from it. It wouldn't be too much of a burden, too much stress. I was in a bubble at the time, and I feel like at the time I wasn't considering all of your needs as well as I probably could have. I was not, I wish that I would have let loose a little bit and not been so, high strung, as in demanding, and that you had to watch this video of announcements every day. You had to watch it through. You had to do these things. I had a whole list of stuff. A whole list of small stuff, and not a couple big things that stand out, that are super important, that they really look like priority, not just little things like the bunch of things listed here that are just for you to work on in terms of homework. This, as far as in my experience, I will give kudos to, Betty McGarry, in the sense that it was a college level class. And she was not a teacher that did not reflect high school teachers, and did not bring back karma that I'm sure a lot of people didn't care for their high school experience. They want to move on. You're up in higher education. The ninth house area wheel of your chart, you're in college. It's not considered homework anymore. That term, I am not a fan of it getting thrown around, because it is just bringing back to high school. And I didn't hate high school. I didn't, dislike it. But, you know, like, no. I am in college now. And there were certainly some huge things that I needed to get done, and it certainly was a difficult course. I will say that my state of mind was not as abundant as I would have liked, and I will say that I did get a lot out of the course, despite how challenging it was. But I didn't feel like this wasn't the type of situation. I didn't see a negative reflection back to me in the mirror, like I see right here as I'm looking at this page right now. And you're saying to yourself, why are you sitting here talking when you could be doing it? This is what I need to do, and this is homework. But it's as if somebody else sort of took my soul at the time and placed it into himself, and it manifested as something like this. This is what I gave to you. This is the kinds of things that I did. And I need to sit here and do... No, it's not a big deal. Oh, just like the many activities that I assigned weren't a big deal because they're super small. But still, I don't know. It's just kind of... how I feel. Like, these kinds of things right here are kind of what was similar to what was assigned in high school. Read this article, and I've assigned this article to you. I've assigned WebQuest stuff for you, look online information. I've assigned videos, writings, responses, all those kind of things, all those small things. You know, these are the kinds of things that remind me of high school. There is yet another issue going on here. I am not in high school. And there sort of has to be a level of understanding that that is the way that it is. And it just feels like a really negative reflection and throwback. What's worse is that Jessup reminds me of myself. And reminds me of Jonathan Bezos. And reminds me of Nathan Leslie. And reminds me of myself. And how I was. I don't care for that. I mean, I don't care for people who are similar to me if it brings back a negative aspect of just me. And, granted, this is way above what, I felt like when I was in a relationship with, Mr. Tyson, which, wasn't, that bad or anything like that. But, I certainly did feel those real feelings, and I did, or wait a second, I didn't share them with you. I did not open up to you about that. But see how open I am now. So I did not share those videos. There were never any meetings when I did that. Anyway, I may be denying something, but anyway. So, I am going to do this over video to prove that this reminds me of me. How I'm not anymore. And these kind of things remind me of what I did back in high school. And remind me of what I made all of you do. Which wasn't, that bad, but just the same. It still was work and, more on your plate than you needed. What with people who were here at my event and the kind of classes going on at the time of what you had, work, through, work for with, your kind of classes and getting the assignments done, etc., going to class and all that. So I am going to go through these now. I think I've spoken enough. I think I am going to just, I want to find a good metaphor. Take the bull by the horns. I want to say so. So yeah, I'm kind of feeling little things. Anyway, so this is just the first little thing. See, here's a quiz. Hey. Hey. Hey.
Hey there.
Okay, I'm down here. Here's another thing that I want to say. I am concerned that this particular teacher is going to assign more work than the other professor that I had. I mean, all she was doing, okay, well, all you need to do are these really important assignments, these really big assignments. Nothing else. Nothing else. You just put your energy and your focus into this big assignment. This is what is important. This is all that matters at the time in regards to this class. But now you have this particular person who's really of the philosophy of assigning work and homework in addition to what you would call one of the 4 essays that I need to do. And I am going to get personal and upfront about this because you came to my attention. I am taking class, so I may get specific. I don't feel like I'm crossing a boundary. I feel like everything I'm saying, I'm comfortable saying. I'm comfortable sharing and getting out, and I'm sharing my screen. I can't do that during a live stream. But so anyway, like, you're assigning this essay, or not essay, a personal narrative thing, and then you assign the, homework. Now, it isn't due immediately. It's due a couple weeks from now. So I do want to sort of say that. It isn't due immediately. But still. So, I'm kind of questioning whether this, I'm going to go as far as questioning myself if this even is worth doing. Because read through this article, do this quiz, do this discussion board. See how small these things are? These are smaller things. And then you've got a big thing. I'm sure that I did that in the past. I regret that. I shouldn't have, less is more. The focus should really be the personal narrative. The last composition class I had was just about this assignment and, writing this, and sort of this is all you need to focus on, And the teacher that I had last semester had daily work. That's what she called it. She called it daily work. Not homework in addition to the writing, but daily work. Work that you would do in class. Not this other homework. Why didn't I just keep piling and piling and piling this into you? The other professor was really, I got a strong sense about the work. It was only one thing. There's a lot of stuff in one thing. But anyway, that's just my, criticism. I don't know. To put, it's not just this. It's just all of the different factors put into an account. Like, if you take all the different factors, put them into account. Resemblance to this person, resemblance to this person. The 2 people. Mr. Bethers, Mr. Liston. Put those 2 resemblances together. then you have the, not so, you know, there's qualities about this person I don't care for. I remember laying in bed last night, not getting any sleep at all, feeling a closer connection to this person, a genuine closer connection, not a connection that I would imagine would fade off, but sort of a more real connection, as if this time around, instead of the weeds being impossible to cut out of the truck, I have a better sense that those weeds will die away and I will be able to get rid of them this time around. Um, as a metaphor for the relationship, remember the weeds represent the problems and the flaws and the blockages and challenges in the relationship between one person and another person. So, if I do this, it will be over video because this is a mirrored reflection of what I had to do, and B gave out to you. Another reason why, well, the characteristics of this person, you know, in resemblance to a high school teacher. I mean, all those things I've spoken about this person so far, sort of rolled up into one thing. This is maybe a more physical manifestation of that. Now, there'll be another manifestation, and that manifestation that will come to fruition and that will materialize will be the audio recording that I will take of the class sometime next week. And it will probably save me some explanation. Well, I think the main reason is it will make it more real. It will make it more up close and personal. It will, it's like re-experiencing it. And when you re-experience it, it's more real. I mean, there's nothing like the real experience. And yeah, there's nothing like the real experience. But, you can audio record something and sort of feel the same feelings again. Now, don't give me grief about that. Don't give me grief about audio recording that. Because I've heard it all. I've heard it all. And so this is basically, what are you doing? Are you teaching or are you wanting to do a sketch? I am willing to admit that I did a sketch, and I have a whole article I wrote about that on my page. You can check it out. You don't have to. You don't have to check it out. You don't have to answer questions. There's no quiz. It is just optional. Oh, I'm going to take something off the internet. Oh, you have to look at this. You have to write something about it. I'm sorry for making you do all those things. I'm sorry for taking... No. I'm genuinely sorry for taking away just the sheer enjoyment of experiencing that thing, reading that article, watching that video and enjoying it, but then having to write something about it, but then I have to think about questions, but then I am sorry for doing that. And I will try not to do that as much as possible. Or not at all, even. I will offer stuff, but I won't require it. I think it's been a while since I've required certain things. I may give recommendations over things. I may inspire you to engage with this, read this, page on a website or watch this video or whatever. But I won't, require you to do it. So, yeah. So, anyway, what more can I say about this? This should be daily work. I mean, yeah, do this kind of stuff in class. Are you teaching or are you doing as such? Are you presenting yourself in a way so that you look good assigning stuff and that you have something to assign, that you have something to talk about? And, that's the question. I may say, oh, this assignment isn't due here, but I would recommend if you would do this much, and I would make it really important and official, and in those ways, which, sometimes go beyond what I can explain. That's why I'm planning to have you listen to it sometime. But, you know, um, still, again, I'm not going to repeat the same information over again. So, I mean, this should all be in class work. Period. In class work. And then the work outside of class should be the writing of the essay, the drafting, all those kind of things. Not the homework assignments. Mr. Trying to be a high school teacher. Well, wake up. Because you're not a high school teacher. You're a college professor. So act like one in the way of not assigning homework assignments. But, work outside of class. And work outside of class homework. What's the difference? Well, a simple, explanation for that is, work outside of class feels more, grown up and more, college level. Homework seems more, elementary school, high school, middle school, like grade school, in other words, and that does correspond to grades 1 through 12. And what was I going to say? But yeah. I'm sure. Well, I don't know. I hope I'm not wasting my breath here. It's a bunch of things combined into one. It's just the delivery of the information. It's just so many things put together. Writing does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. And that was the big focus when it came to the homework, quote unquote, for the composition class I took last year. The writing was the task, the priority, for the last class that I took. But somehow, this is where there are other priorities instead of just that priority. On one hand, I could question, is it difficult? Well, maybe I could say it's really difficult or overwhelming or challenging or, whatever. But I could also say that it's extra, it is kind of redundant, it's kind of unnecessary, unneeded extra work that should be done in class. And it is not appropriate to have the whole setup, the whole shebang, sort of the combination of the personality of this person, so many other things combined, and then you present a page that looks like this and you call it homework. I don't know. It is a little irritating to me. You know, yeah, wake up a little bit more. I mean, that's what I'm going to say. So, after I've given my whole shebang about this, my whole spiel, my whole speech, my whole thing, I'm going to get to this because it looks like there's some things here. I am sort of feeling like I'm being forced to swallow, getting a taste of my own medicine here. And I'm sure that you've all experienced that feeling where you've gotten a taste of your own medicine. It's also a taste of karma that should be in the past. That's probably the more important thing to talk about here. Leave the past in the past. What happened in the past, what happened in high school, that was in the past. And so reminders of that, which are negative and bring up negative emotions, and those same feelings that you would have as, if we're in this case, you were, I was in high school. Well, you know, I don't buy that and I don't appreciate that. And I don't agree with that either. So, yeah. I mean, what is this? I mean, this. Let's just start talking about this here. I remember very clearly, having this phone, holding it up, making an audio recording, questioning, well, I hope this deal with the New York Times is not going to continue to come up and is not going to form into something which is extra and trivial. It's not going to be the flaw of this person that this person has so many, little things and so much, stuff to do. Instead of less is more, instead of, so many things. I mean, I don't want to make a song about it as ho hum and it's, unprojectile ho hum. I don't want to sing anything. I don't want to sing anything I'm against. I want to actually speak it out loud in this case, in this situation, at this time. What does I am not proud of the American dream? I mean, again, this is just extra. This is just extra. This is extra. Like, this is really extra. What about focusing on the actual essay and having that be it? I really don't see how this has to do with composition. What does this have to do with that's another big issue for me. I shouldn't say that. What on this, you know, great Earth of a planet. Does this have to do with anything? You may as well assign an article about paint drying. You may as well assign an article about World War II. This is not a philosophy class. It's not a mindset class. It's not a life lesson class. It's not a, life learning class. Or better yet, I took college experience last semester. It's not even that. But basically, that was the class where you read readings and you better yourself as a college student, become more aware of certain things like diversity, being on topic planning, managing your time, doing all those kind of things. So yeah, this is not college experience. This isn't that class as well. This isn't pop culture class, if that even. I mean, this is trivial, and this is Sechi. I mean, when it comes to Sechi, the stuff that I gave to you, I will admit I was watching myself, and I could hear multiple videos of myself, and you probably were in that experience, with me. For those of you who are at my mention and heard me speak about it, well, not speak, assign these things, and they probably sounded extra and unnecessary and and trivial and not important, and yet I was assigning them and making them priority, and they were Sechi because they were really random. They were, read this article about this topic. It's not official. It's not, like, and coming back to that comparison about, Betty McGarry assigning this work from this book, I want to say, reading this story and answering these responses. This is the priority. This is what you need to do. Boom. That would, like you can see how important that was, and official that was. I want to say that was the priority. That was the work that was in the actual class, and it was literature. The class was called Intro to Lit. And I do not remember ever doing anything that derived from the class name and the purpose and the reasoning behind why I was in that class. I was in that class to have a better understanding, appreciation, read literature. That's what we did. We read short stories, plays, and then poems. We analyzed those. We had questions. I mean, that's what we did. And that was the point of the class. The teacher was not trivial. And, I will give her credit for the fact that she assigned work that wasn't extra, like this kind of a thing right here. I did not come into composition to see these articles that you assign, these random articles, these New York Times articles, and then, answer a quiz about it. Like, what on this great earth does that have to do with composition and writing? That is that is basically like you coming to my mention. There's no theme. There's no set, schedule. It's not a class. It's not a category. It's just a bunch of different random things that I assigned to you. This video, this article about this over here, this video about this completely different. There was no class. It was just called a mention meetings, and that could mean any range of things. And yeah, well, variety, and you're not studying only one thing, and you're, mixing it up, and you're doing a whole bunch of different things that, I mean, like, for example, it's not just writing, there's also this element, so it adds variety to the class, but what about the variety of what I choose to make of it? What about the variety that I choose to engage on something online, out there in the world, on my own terms, of my own choice, at my own time? And, you, you know, that's what it was. I would write down lists on the board of, you had, these many different things. This category, all very different. Nothing had to do with each other. You weren't coming there because you registered for that as a class to take. You did not come there because you wanted to, and it was as important to you. Let's just say you didn't come there because it was a history class and I was assigning history. No, history, assignments, and all things, doing all those kind of things. That, it was a meeting where I was supposed to just give announcements and inform you about stuff. And instead, I ended up making a whole list of these random videos and these random articles of many different categories that you had to do because I wanted what I wanted and I wasn't going to back down, in a way where I had these plans. And I did not consider that I was living in a bubble and that I wasn't realizing how ridiculous and how trivial and how dictatorial and how unnecessary and how unimportant it might be to you. And you had to do it. You were forced to do it. And I do feel ashamed of myself for that. And I am really sorry for that. I really do feel for all of you, for those of you who were at my mention at the time, I really do feel for you. That is not who I will be in this day and age. That is not who I will be today, this year. Because you probably had way more important things to do. You probably had way more important things you wanted to do. Bigger priorities. And yet I was trying to make additional stuff that you didn't sign up for a priority that you had to do. I cannot believe that I did that. And I would never have realized it if it hadn't been for this page right here in the whole context of events that combined together with this page. With the teacher, with the class, with all of it. So, I will give this person props for making me realize how I was in the past. You may have a different perspective over it. You may have liked the things, found interest in the things that I have assigned. And I'm open to that perspective as well. But I do want to be true and authentic. What's true and authentic is that I'm sorry. And I say it from my heart, and I just want to, and, I am sorry for making you go through all of that. It's because I was 17 years old, or 16 years old. I didn't look very good. I didn't shave my face. My skin was all with pimples. My R's were inconsistent. And I was making these live streams after live streams that I thought you would watch, and I had the expectation for you to watch these things, for you to take into the information. Well, good grief, that was a lot on your plate, a lot of extra stuff on your plate. And you had to, do the work for those classes. And yet I was just piling stuff on. And it was supposed to just be, here are the announcements. But I took it to another level. And I included this video that you had to watch, which is super random off of YouTube and online. That, how is this relevant? Well, guess what? It's just a random video that I'm assigning to you just because I want you to watch it, because you have to do this because I said so. You have to do this because I said so. I have this plan. And you need to follow it, and you need to do this. When it could have been your own choosing at your own time to engage in the type of content that was online on YouTube. And instead of you just exploring that content on your own initiative, I had to be the black cloud that had to make it like, you have to do this. It goes back to a video that I made in 2020 at the very end of the year. And it goes back to that whole feeling about independent reading and about how I thought about it. It deals with that. About how independent reading wasn't entirely independent. Yeah, you could choose to read the books, but not when you wanted to, at whatever time in your life that you wanted to, because it was a priority. And it was something in addition to what should have been the only priority. I will credit, McGurry on, okay, the work's important, and this is the priority. And, that's it. Wow. 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 Mic drop. I mean, doesn't that speak volumes? I can find so many resemblances, and this person is in resemblance to somebody who is a member of a group of people that have not understood that, well, guess what? You are doing the opposite. Instead of encouraging people to enjoy reading and find interest in reading and inspiring them to read what they want to read when they want to read it, you're making it an assignment. And that's in addition to the assignments, the units, the projects, the essays, which should have been the only priority. And yet there was this other priority that was kind of trivial. I mean, it did have a point to it, but it was something in addition. Independent reading. And those kind of little things, those little activities to try to, improve you, to try to, skill building type activities, those kinds of things. That is it. I'm sorry, but that is high school domain. I mean, yeah, by all means, do it in class, but I mean, there's no homework in college. There is just, work for that class. And the homework isn't the work that you need to get done with, okay, so for instance, when I was in Intro to Lit, the homework, quote unquote, I don't want to say that, the work for the class was this essay that I was writing. Excuse me, was this, analysis of this poem that I needed to write. That was the work for the class. And now you're assigning homework, which is arbitrary and on the side of and bearing no similarity, no connection, and no relevance or bridge to the essay and to the title of the course, which is composition. I mean, when I was in the other composition class, we did watch a video. We did do, little videos, and we did short little, analyses over things. But that was, in class. And it was also high school. Wake up to the fact that it's not high school. Wake up. The homework thing of assignments that are super specific. I mean, the format of that, the homework, which is separate, which is its own thing, separate activities. I want you to do this activity. I want you to do this activity. It's not the work for the. It's not like, I mean, the best way I can try to explain this to you, it's different than, okay, this is the only basket that you need to put your eggs in. You need to complete these questions. And you need to, read this and do this. I mean, she, was, serious about it and gave the, impression of, a serious, structured, you know, teacher or, professor that, okay, this feels, boom, like, I mean, this is what you're focused on. This feels like a college level class, not homework assignments that are separate from the, essay for the class because it is a composition class. Again, all I had to do was the, analysis for this, or the responses. That was it. So, yeah. And these assignments, while they may be easy, maybe they may be more difficult and they may be on the side. I don't know. But you need, I mean, just understand that if you want to teach high school, if you want to teach, elementary, then do that. I mean, it feels like a class for people who come into that room, I will say far beyond the, job program, but I mean, granted, it is only 2 days a week. But for what it actually is, it does, I do get the feeling like it is for people who are challenged. It is for people who are behind in terms of their academics. And we're talking full-fledged adults here. That this particular person is teaching these adults who need to learn some skills and are challenged and are behind where they should be. Like in a, that kind of thing here. And, while you may be a good, teacher and, all this kind of things, well, what level are you teaching it? I mean, and everyone has their own way of teaching and their own style, but still, I am not in composition to click on find this random article on this news. I mean, this trivial thing. Oh, you have to subscribe to this thing on the internet because it's part of the class. Well, you know, whatever. This does not have any, as I said, connection to the essay that I need to do, and it's irrelevant to that, and it's homework, and it's extra, not and that's really what I also don't like. So you sort of have the two checked, so many boxes. I mean, checked off of the, flaw here, flaw there, flaw there. This is somebody who has proven themselves, in my opinion, in my mind, as somebody that I don't care for in terms of personality. And well, I'm not a big fan of. Let's just say that. The certain traits, how you present yourself, the things, and then another category, and I do want to reiterate the sitting in there and feeling emotionally, intellectually, mentally drained sometimes. I don't know why, but I just feel that way. And then doing all of this kind of thing here, having all of this work. When I was in a relationship with, Mr. Tyson, he did a couple of things with me, and that was for an IEP that I had, but he didn't sit and assign the class to do this and then this random thing. He didn't do that in front of people. Well, not in front of people, but basically I was in the job program to go to a job for that amount of time. I was in, on Wednesdays when I didn't go to the job, I was in there to hear about, things that related to the job. Or, well, I mean, I can't give too many props because, I sort of sat in there and, heard him talk on and on about, this and that and reiterate the same things. But, I mean, well, I have to acknowledge they didn't have to, they had to do with the job. And, don't be all trying to be Mr. I'm going to make myself clear. And, well, guess what? You might not see how this connects, but guess what? It connects. And, I think it's important for you to, get this perspective. I think it's important for you to, read this and understand this and, don't play that card. Of the, trying to, I'm trying to come up with a metaphor for this. Trying to, I don't know, basically try to clear up some mess, but you're not using the right tools to do it in. Or you're giving a pet rock instead of just, okay, I'm going to stand down. And guess what? This is the priority. This is what I'm going to have you all focus on because it's what you need to focus on. Here it is. You're in composition for, writing, not to do all these extra stuff. Not to do all these extra, assignments that you don't need to do. And what was I saying before? It just sort of slipped my mind. So let me see here. What was I talking about? It just slipped my mind. What else? Just was there, and then it just disappeared into thin air. Well, anyway, what was I talking about? Well, I was talking about that and trying to, orient my thinking process. Oh yeah, I remember what I was talking about. Don't. I hope that this person isn't the type of person that is gonna throw pet rocks out to people and try to, clarify it and try to, you know, try to alter my beliefs or I don't know. Uh, I can't think of a good metaphor right now, but you know, it is better to just say, you know what, don't worry about this. Or, well, I mean, that's the point of homework. Simon says you have to do it, but my point being, you know, not having people do the extra assignments, just the essays, those kind of things, and having all this be the daily work. Goes as far as I'm looking at this assignment, doesn't have anything to do with composition writing. I mean, what is this? A theory class? What is this? Building, strengthening your mindset class? And I sort of connected this dot from over here, this dot from over there. And that's another thing. What I did was not focused. It wasn't, okay, well, here are your announcements. This is what you need to know. Now, I included so many, as I said this before, so many other things you had to do, which didn't have to do with what I was talking about, and they were random. Maybe they did, but still. I mean, this goes as far as not even having to do with writing and composition. It says writing and composition. I mean, I don't think I paid for and signed up for something that would turn into, would actually be becoming a better learner class or something like that. When I took Intro to Lit, it was Intro to Lit. It was, okay, here's what I signed up for. This is what it is, reading and doing all that kind of thing. And while the upside is this person is valuing sort of strategies of, becoming a better writer, free writing and all those kind of things, that, this is the shadow side of that. The shadow side is, not having the best set of, like, like having multiple priorities and not focusing on the important priorities of the title of the class and the reason why I'm in the class. And it is a required class for people. It isn't, optional. So maybe there is that, aspect to it as well. With the vibrations of the room, with the sort of personality types, which, I do feel like some of this is kind of redundant, even though it is writing and even though it is, composition, those kind of things. It is a requirement. And yeah, certain things have to be a requirement. But then again, I chose to take Intro to Lit. And I like to think that I chose to take this even though I need to take it because I want to be a writer. That's something that I'm thinking about. But, I mean, the whole thing about required classes, that is back in high school. And that's another thing, too, is, okay, this required, you have to accommodate for this. I'm going to be the teacher that's going to, do all this kind of thing. And you can do that without doing this. You can do that while, I'm not going to repeat the same information again. I've already said it before. Point being, this article right here, it's like, read a random article and take a quiz over it. Like it means anything. No. It's just the same as when I was in the music fundamentals. The teacher got off topic about talking about sexism and, racism and all these things, but, oh my goodness. He didn't assign any work that had to do with, go, read this article about racism, go watch this video about, the civil rights movement in America. So at least he, had sort of, a backbone to understand that this is, music fundamentals in the way of, okay, well, this is just sidestep. This is what's important, even though, he may not have his priorities straight, needing to get back on task and focus on what he needs to talk about. There were no assignments. He didn't require anyone to do anything. I mean, with the sake of the class itself, there is no homework that, I didn't even know what I'm going to be graded on. I honestly never thought that I would sit here and I would say that I was just in relationship with him today, doing a piano lesson. And this is what I've spoken about, like coming on that live stream I did January through, June 2023. I was thinking about this person, this professor, this, area which I'm, which is a huge value to me and a huge interest to me. And it's important to me, music. And I was, concerned before I never even got to know this person. And I made that important. I should have sort of picked up on the clues from what I received from that little newspaper picture, and I, oh wow, this person holds up a cup of coffee in his hand, presenting himself this way. Well, yeah, you're probably going to be that type of person that's going to, sort of be sort of a lower echelon, or, want to be, should probably be a high school teacher if I had a preference. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. I do honestly have to say that I have been interacting with the music professor more, and, music probably bigger, more important to me than writing. I don't want to go on, but I think what I'm trying to say is, this is what I would, there are certain qualities that I would prefer over others. Seeing as he is really congenial in the way of, for me to, easily feel like I can, not disagree with a huge amount of things that he's talking about, not find, these kind of negative flaws in which I would, dislike your personality or how you would, act, or, it's just needing to be efficient and be structured and, stay on task, but, and when you're teaching the class, but, beyond that, that's enough of the going off and alluding to other things. I don't know about this. This seems so trivial to me. Just read this article and answer questions. Random article. Again. You know, like, I just, no, I can't, I've spoken all that I want to speak about that. The discussion board, well, here's the text. So here's something more related to that. And, reading habits of mind. Here's what you learned. Oh, well, habits of mind. Again, I'm not here to take a life, lesson course, but, whatever. Grammar, comma slices. Well, here's something related to writing. But again, it's still extra. The essay one, reflection. Probably the most important thing on this whole list. So, actually, here's what I'm going to end up doing. And, I cannot for the life of me believe that I'm going to do this. And you want to know another huge regret that I have? I should have just forfeited trying to rush and do the assignment on, due on, Monday, the 21st of November. I just found out that day that I had this really big assignment to do with these really difficult questions. Higher order thinking questions over these, poems I had to analyze, and it cost me my peace. I couldn't enjoy my evening. I planned upon sitting, watching videos, doing, the things I wanted to do, but instead I had to sit through and get stressed out and have to labor through this. And Mars was retrograde in Gemini, squaring Neptune in Pisces. And I had that thing that I needed to get done. It was really tough. But, I am looking back thinking, well, I wish I would just sacrifice not doing that. And moving on. I will tell you that in the welcome video I made for this teacher, I did kind of talk about that day, what I feel about it and what I regret about it. So maybe, there has to be a meaning to that, connection. You know, but, I will shelve, I will sort of set it aside, sleep on, marinate on these two things right here. But I think what I'm going to end up doing here, oh, my goodness me. Here it goes. I mean, I've told you about this before, and oh well. Subscribe now. Let's see what'll happen. Upgrading continue. What's this all about? I have no idea. Let me see if I can find a way to get to this article. Now I wasn't altogether true in what I was saying. It does turn out that this, turns out to have to do with the essay itself. So, I mean, that checks out. Yeah, I contradicted myself. There may be some videos where I contradict myself. I am trying to find how to get to this article If I can't find it, I am just going to give up and not worry about investing that time into this kind of thing. And I'm not going to tell you should have done this, you shouldn't have done that, but I do feel sorry for you having to invest your energy into these kind of things. And if you were confused, you had to ask me a question about the super trivial assignment that you had to do. And I probably answered it. But still. So, let me go back. Let me see if I can go to here. So, oh my gosh. UMac website, what is this? So I did say at the beginning of this video that I was gonna, oh my gosh, I'm just really contradicting myself right now. So, yeah. Please create this account. Welcome to the New York Times. Create account. What's this all about? I've no idea. Now, when I do things over video, just know that it's just not graduation year. My goodness. Do I have it like bookmarked down here? So that, okay, well, here it is. Hopefully I can find the article and read it and somehow do this quiz thing. I'm a Bob. So, yeah. And it is a community college, so people who are older go there into classes, so that's why I've sort of made a kind of connection to the fact that, not that it is, but it kind of seems as if, or reminds me of, a class that would be for adults who were challenged and set back, and the teacher is geared up to accommodate for those needs, basically. So, that's what I want to say. Not that it is that, but it does remind me of that if it were that, which it's not. But, anyway. Now, I want to find the name of this thing and try to do it. So, so much for that connection thing. Never mind. I want to see if I can find what this thing is called. And then, I will be very productive this weekend. You had better believe that. Homework. My goodness me, I hate, the fact that I should even read that and that should come out of my mouth. It's, again, ridiculous, but whatever. It's not my deal. I didn't assign the assignments. It's not me. So, that much is true. Oh, well. Okay, well, here I have it. I can't believe how it has to be this complicated process of what is the deal with this thing? Why can't I just find and get it here? So, oh no, I'm not going to stop this video. I'm going to do this because this does not deserve me taking the time to simply do this on my own. So this is, if it does seem sketchy and extra, I'm going to do something sketchy and extra. That doesn't seem important. Well, I'm going to do this in kind of an unimportant seeming way, which is doing a video over it. So here, well, okay, yeah. Upgrade and continue. Continue without upgrading. Well, account. With edit. My goodness, edit. Email address. With continue. Password. Okay. Log in. Save. Is it going to load, or is it going to be this other complicated process? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not worth my time, and I'm not going to do it. Period. End of story. End of discussion. That should have been what happened with that assignment. I couldn't do that because I don't know. But now I am. Mars is direct, and it's not squaring Neptune. Period. End of discussion. Period. That's final. Not doing that. So we can check that off the list. The next thing that needs to be done here is, I want this to be productive. I really don't want this entire video to me be ranting on about this. So, yeah. So, discussion board. Developing academic habits of mind. Chapter 4. Well, let me, be right back. What even is the... Let me be right back and grab that book here. Dark in here. Okay, so how is this going to work together? If I were apathetic, I would give this as a gift to Adam Melendez. Just saying. Chapter 4. Habits of Mind. Let's see what this is about here. And, another thing, another little thing I have to comment about is stereotype, making a stereotype out of yourself. That's another thing. And I will just also insert the fact that we were just walking just across the other building, showing the Academic Achievement Center, writing, like a writing lab we were looking at the other day. We sort of went across to another building and looked at that. He didn't even have a coat on. He didn't even, it is that, it's the middle of winter, and you're walking outside with a short sleeve shirt on and pants on and shoes on. That's what you're wearing. It is not springtime or early autumn, or September weather. It's wintertime. I just, I found that unbelievable. Carrying the book in hand, even though you don't need to use it, why carry it if you're not going to, use it? I don't understand that. What is the reasoning behind that? I really don't know. That may be just something else, and there you probably had a reason for that. But I just thought, just the perception of that sort of showed, well, I'm trying to be a stereotype of something, which is another little thing I don't like. So add that to the mix of all the things that I've spoken about already. So, now, let's see about this. So, Chapter 4, Developing Academic Habits of Mind, page 46. Again, academic habits of mind. I don't think that, Professor McGarry did that. She was, it was intro to what it wasn't, habits of mind. Let's talk about it. Because, there's a double standard and there's false advertising a little bit here. And, it says composition, but don't assume that because the class says something, it's the only thing they'll talk about in the class. So, I guess, now I got the memo, and so, I will remember this time. I guess I never got the memo that it said composition, and yet you're doing something else which is totally just arbitrary and totally like like extra. I'm going to say that word again, extra. Yeah. So, this kind of work is the kind of work I assigned, and I did it over video. So, as a result, when I find I just want to say this person assigned this kind of work, I will do it over video because, well, that's how it should be done. Over video in such a or kind of way, or not, because that's what it is. It's kind of trivial and things going on in that philosophy. You mentioned philosophy, but anyway, so skip the article. Doesn't matter. Totally irrelevant. Discussion board. Read chapter 4, Developing Academic Habits of Mind. And here's the other little thing. Oh yeah, and yeah, there's another thing. I mean, good grief. When I saw that article that I am not proof of the American dream. I will okay. I feel like I want to say that a million times. I am not proof of the American dream. I am not proof. I want to be bigger and better than this person, period. I am not proof of the American dream. I am not proof of the American dream. I am like affirming it over and over again so that it makes it so I am bigger and better. And I did the live stream just to consciously, I did the live stream just to consciously, okay, this is what I want to do and I'm doing this. Oh, and let me just pull out this card. I'm using mobile live stream off the phone, which you probably don't have access to yet. Boom. Check off the list. I am on social media. I have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I do videos about astrology. I do this. What do you do? Just teach. What do you do? Just have a private Instagram account. I didn't even know how you create a private Instagram account. Why get on Instagram unless you're putting yourself out there? I didn't understand the whole deal with that, but as far as I'm concerned, that's why people would get on Instagram. I don't think they can publish things privately. I don't even know how that works, so I'm not that person to speak to that. But I am on social media, and I am someone out there, and so you can check that off the list too. And so I sort of am ahead when it comes to changing my beliefs of these assignments and how I was a couple years ago. And I've changed and I have become better and I have grown and matured and experienced and gone through the Baton Rouge, the Rudyard Kipling works, as I like to say, And I get that, okay, I'm not going to assign trivial work. I'm not going to assign, I'm not going to do that. So, anyway, point of the story is, I could not find access to that article. I am not proof of the American dream. I don't even want to get into that because, again, doesn't it sound trivial? I'm not proof of the American dream. In composition, and then taking a quiz over it, yeah, it's trivial. I said all that before. There's freedom in education, but ultimately you have a choice. Either homeschool or go to school. You have that freedom, but you have to make a choice, and you have to, conform and choose a choice with some force, dictating you by law to choose that option and to, choose, you have the freedom to choose, but you have to choose between this or that because it is by the law. See what I'm saying? Semi-independent. And I can't believe I have to dredge up that whole, catastrophe of issues again. I really don't. I really didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to make these videos about, people that I find flaws in. But, oh, well, I'm on here and I made it. I'm making a video right now, so there it is. So, anyway, I had to pay for the article, even if I have to pay for it, I mean, I'm not doing that. I will just, that's the pleasant way of saying that. I will not pay for just some trivial article for a class. That's just, not what it, you should invest your money in. So, choose where, what you value and what you want to invest your money in. And be true to yourself and what you feel is important to you in your life. I will say that. And that's not I'm not forcing you, but I'm saying, So anyway, if I can find a way to do this, this is another article. Okay. So, yeah, I will pick this up and resume this after. I'll just come on making another video about this.